Thanks everyone for joining in to watch this. This is one of our interviews with our platinum partners at St. James Place Wealth Management. We have Michael Booth here, who is a board director and an associate partner at St. James Place. So very happy to sort of chat to Mike today and get a bit more insights into St. James Place and some of the offerings they have and how they can support our community and our members. So thanks, Mike, for taking the time today. Maybe you want to give a short intro to yourself.
Sure. Hi, Ron. I'm Michael. I've been in Singapore for the last 5 years, and since arriving in Singapore, been involved with the South African Chamber of Commerce. Very passionate about the work that the Chamber does in bringing South African professionals together while living abroad and creating a platform for them to share ideas and about who they are and their businesses and everything that they're passionate about. I am a financial planner, a certified financial planner, and I specialize in helping South Africans living abroad to manage their financial affairs effectively, while protecting them against taxation, investing their money in hard currency, and helping them plan for where they want to go next. If they want to go from Singapore back to South Africa or to the UK or Australia or wherever they want to end up, I have the tools to help them achieve their goals.
Thanks, Mike. Mike's also done a couple of tax guides, budget and tax guides. You can see them on our website, so have a look at that as well. So Mike, we'll get into it. First of all, to kick off, so can you tell us a bit more about St. James Place Wealth Management and the key services that you offer in Singapore and globally?
Sure. So St. James's Place is the largest wealth manager in the UK. We have over 1 million clients globally, and we manage about £189 billion as per our last quarter. Now, we have a presence in the UK being the largest with our headquarters there. But we're also in Dubai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And what we work on primarily is providing financial advice to people living overseas. This includes investment management, insurance, estate planning, retirement planning, general succession, and just helping people really get a grip on their finances when they're living in a new country. It is daunting leaving everything you know and entering a new tax system, a new currency system, a new banking system. Really can be overwhelming, on top of trying to come to terms with a new job and get your kids comfortable in a new school and making sure your home is comfortable. And there's really quite a lot of new when you get to a new country, and we just try and make that easier for people in terms of managing their affairs. But also, once you settled here, just making sure that you make the most of the opportunities that are in front of you. A lot of these jurisdictions, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, offer very favorable tax regimes for people living and working there. And, you know, as part of the work we do, we help people to understand that and how to take advantage of that within the rules and being compliant.
Great. It's fantastic, Mike. I think it's quite an essential service that you offer in Singapore. And I know Mike has worked with a couple of our board directors and our members, of course. So speaking on the South African Chamber, maybe Mike, you could tell us, as the platinum partner of the SA Chamber, what sort of inspired your decision to support the organization, and how do you see the partnership benefiting both St. James Place and the Chamber's members?
So, very good question. Like most people, I arrived in Singapore. I didn't know anyone. I had no friends or contacts or anyone. I just arrived, and I was looking for a community to plug into. And I found the South Africans in Singapore, which is a lovely social group that hosts braais in the park and that sort of thing. But there wasn't really much of a business community. The Chamber had just opened about 2 months before. The founding members had got it off the ground, and so my company was already involved, and I decided to really just to step in and see what I can do to make new contacts and to also understand the needs of South Africans here in Singapore. So how it's really benefited me is I've developed connections with a wide range of professionals in Singapore and across the region as well. The Chamber's got reach into South Korea, for example, too. And then also having a network of people that can support my business while I support theirs, and collectively we all benefit. It was just a really nice community to get involved with, and something I could really get behind, empowering South Africans living and working abroad. I also believe that collectively the South African community can actually contribute to South Africa in a meaningful way if they come together, be that by empowering South African businesses or providing opportunity and investment for South African businesses to come to Singapore. So the chamber was really kind of all-encompassing in that regard. In terms of my business personally and how it benefited us, it gave me a platform to speak about what we do and how we do it, and kind of the work that I've done with my clients and how I've been able to empower them. But doing it in a way that is knowledge sharing, as in I'm able to just share what I know for the benefit of the community at no cost to them, but solely for their benefit. And for me, I enjoyed that. I have quite a lot of knowledge that I like to share on various topics, and we have, for example, for the last 5 years, we do an annual budget webinar where we discuss taxes in South Africa and how that would affect South Africans living abroad. We've done various webinars on how to move money out of South Africa to other parts of the world. Other things like how to acquire a secondary passport by investment. We've done discussions on that. Understanding the landscape of insurance and succession planning. These are all things that I was able to share to our community by having conversations with other professionals in my field. And so that's been massively beneficial. People find me now. They recognize the work that we do and my involvement in the chamber, and they feel like they know me before they work with me. And I think that really makes people feel much more at ease when they're going to discuss something as personal as their money. And so that's been a really great opportunity for me, where I've been able to give to the community, but also kind of benefit by gaining clients and gaining their trust. So it's been really great from a grassroots level to where we are today.
Fantastic. No, I was, on what you were saying about South Africans coming together. I was actually watching a webinar the other day with Bruce Whitfield, and he was saying how South Africans should stick together, and we are essentially stronger together, right? So I think it creates, like you say, that that foundation of trust within the community. And now, Mike, with someone who doesn't really understand the differentiations between the wealth management businesses, can you tell us what is different about St. James Place, and in terms of the wealth management strategies and the client experience?
Very good question. So we're not a bank. I think I'll start there. So we don't take deposits and we don't loan them out. So for example, how a bank works is you'll place your money there and get a couple percentages per year in interest. And then the bank also makes money by loaning money out. We don't do that. We don't lend. So what we do is we're an asset manager. And what we truly do is we manage intergenerational wealth. So if you are looking to build money up for your children or for your retirement, we help you to do that by investing it into one of our strategies that would be suitable for you based on whatever you're trying to achieve. But more than just investing in asset management, what we actually do is we get to know the individual and their family and what's important to them. And we understand kind of where they're trying to go. And we help to build a financial planning framework that's going to get them there. And this is, I like to think, is quite holistic, where we would look at everything from, do you have a will in place? What does your insurance coverage look like for health insurance? Are your employee benefits sufficient? Do you understand how they work? Right. How much tax are you going to pay next year? Do you understand the tax system? How much are you able to save every month? This is what you could do with it if you are saving. What about pensions? When last did you review your pension from South Africa or from the UK, or your superannuation from Australia if you have one? And then also just taking everything that you have and putting it together into kind of a plan with milestones and objectives that you can tick off. And stay on track for your future. So generally what we offer is comprehensive face-to-face advice to our clients. And but as part of that, yes, we're an asset manager and we do invest money. But much more than that, we're an advice business.
Fantastic. Sounds very personalized as well, right? So Mike, with global economic landscape constantly evolving, what sort of strategies does St. James Place implement to help clients navigate uncertainty and sort of plan for the long-term financial security?
Again, these questions are brilliant, Kerry. Thank you. So again, having a good comprehensive financial planning framework would help you to prepare for the worst by having an emergency fund in place, having the right kinds of insurance in place so that if you're sick or hurt or unable to work, that you have enough money. You have enough to pay for your care or pay for kind of the treatment or the adjustments to your home that you have to make in order for it to be a new comfortable living space to live with kind of a disability. So we would lay the foundations to ensure that you are well catered for. Once that foundation is in place, the next stage would be to, all right, well, how do we invest? What do we invest in? What are we investing for? Is it for the kids' education, for retirement, for... And then we would put a suitable strategy in place based on your time horizon and kind of the amount of risk you want to take. And also potentially your views on the markets. A lot of my clients are professionals that are CEOs and investment bankers, and they have their own views in particular markets. And with the help of myself and our investment team, we would sit down with them and on a consultative basis build the type of portfolio that they're looking for. In terms of kind of like turnkey solutions for people who don't want to be that involved, we also do just have a broad range of model portfolios based on kind of their appetite towards risk that we can implement. These are overseen by our investment committee, and our investment committee in the UK has cumulatively over 250 years of experience, and they oversee the fund managers for you. And if they are not doing as they're supposed to or not performing the way that we want them to according to their mandate, we will replace them. And at no additional cost or without causing adverse tax effects or any of that. It just happens in the background. And all you have to focus on is working with me to achieve the objectives of your financial plan. So what we try and do is we take the guesswork out of it by having the very best possible fund managers available, overseen by people with expertise and experience to do that for you. So you can just focus on being a good parent, doing a good job, and having some time to yourself without having to worry about all these complicated things.
Fantastic. I think that obviously does save people a lot of time, right? So especially with the people who are running their own businesses. So it's a fantastic offering that you have. I can think of a couple of people that could probably use these services, right?
Absolutely, but I would say that my clients are usually cash rich but time poor because they're parents or they're busy executives or they run their own businesses and they're traveling all over the world or across the region that they look after in their business. They don't have time to look after their personal finances, and because of that, they often negate them and they think, oh, it'll be okay. I'll make so much money a year or whatever. I'll be all right. At the end of the day, a lot of them come to me either too late or in a precarious position that could have been avoided if they had just sought advice at an earlier stage.
That's good advice. Hopefully people who are listening in will hear that and contact you soon. But a couple of more questions, Mike. So how does St. James Place support clients with these cross-border financial needs, especially for South African professionals and businesses operating in Singapore and other regions?
So it's a good question, but essentially the nature of living abroad is transient. So people will be in one jurisdiction for a while and move to another. And as such, it's important that whatever advice they receive is able to move with them. And if they're moving from jurisdiction to jurisdiction where we have a presence, so from the UK to the Middle East to Asia, we're able to support them across that journey and make it a seamless process where they can continue to work with me or work with a partner or advisor in the location of their choice, where they can continue that face-to-face relationship. But where necessary, I also partner with professionals in a jurisdiction of choice, for example, tax advisors, where we would consult them and be able to get their viewpoints on the person's circumstances. And we build a plan according to the tax advice provided by the qualified professional in that jurisdiction. So myself, as a certified financial planner from South Africa and a general tax practitioner for South Africa, I have a very good understanding of South African taxes, the products and services available in the financial market. And then also, once you leave the country, what is the process of kind of ceasing your tax residence or moving your funds abroad or any of that sort of thing? And then once it's abroad, what do you do if you want to go back, and how do you protect it or look after it in such a way that's going to be beneficial? Now, in doing that, I have really great partnerships with a tax advisory firm in Cape Town and a treasury management business in Johannesburg. And basically, my job is to be the key centerpiece between the client, these external professionals, and to help them understand the decisions that they have to make in a way that they can understand, because sometimes there's a lot of jargon and it can be overwhelming and it's stressful when it's your life savings. What do you do with it? So basically, as a business in James's Place, we focus on the face-to-face advice element in the jurisdictions where we're present, and where necessary, we will work with or contract with external advisors or professionals in different fields, be it lawyers or tax advisors, etc., to ensure that the client gets what they need or get the advice they need.
It's extremely beneficial, especially because Singapore is so transient as well, right? So people are often moving around. So Mike, I think this is a frequently asked question. In your experience, can you tell us what are the most common financial challenges faced by South Africans abroad, and how does St. James Place help address these?
So as South Africans, I've been through this myself, moving abroad and setting up my business here and all of that sort of thing. We really have three problems. Number one, we have a devaluating currency. So the South African rand is extremely volatile. And if you look at it against the US dollar, euro, pound over the last 5-10 years, it has lost value. This is a risk to your funds if your life savings are in South Africa. Outside of this is from 2020 onwards, there has been a progressive tax or progressive steps towards taxing people living overseas that SARS has implemented, and they've become more and more I wouldn't say aggressive, but they're looking at more ways that they can raise revenue by looking at people living outside of South Africa who are South Africans. So global taxation, if you have taken up residence in a new country, you can cease your South African tax residency in order to protect you against that. So that's something that a lot of people should look into. There was a lot of fear mongering around this called financial immigration. That process was phased out in 2021, and now it's just simply called what it is. You are ceasing your tax residence when you become a tax resident of a new jurisdiction. And then the last thing is the flows of capital out of South Africa. If you want to move money out of South Africa, it's subject to foreign exchange controls from the South African Reserve Bank, where most people would be aware of what's called a single discretionary allowance, where you can take R1 million a year and take it offshore. But if you leave in the country for good, you're probably going to sell your house, maybe cash in your pension, do all that. You would have more than that. So what do you do to get the money out? What is the steps? What are the processes? And this is called an approved international transfer. So basically, my background as a certified financial planner from South Africa is I understand that end-to-end process, also having been through it myself and helped more than 50 South Africans living abroad to do it, or to understand the nuances of it. We would sit down with you and I'd go, look, this is what you have to do. These are the implications. These are the things to consider. These are the reasons why. What are your thoughts? What are your questions? And then they would go, right, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this, or I have this asset. What should I do? Then comes in the external advice from a tax advisor in South Africa, where collectively we would work to build a plan that's tax efficient. And then if it makes sense to, we can cease their tax residence and move their funds overseas. Once it comes overseas, we'd invest and look after it for them. While also considering their insurance in South Africa. Is it still fit for purpose? If you have a Discovery or Liberty or whoever policy and you move abroad, does it cover you effectively? Is it fit for purpose in your new jurisdiction? Should you consider taking up an international coverage that's based in a hard currency like US dollars, etc.? Is that more beneficial for you and your family based on your plans, where you want to go? So I think what we really do, again, is we provide face-to-face advice where we're able to guide you along figuring out these complex things. And I suppose my job is just to make it simple, give you kind of sound advice based on experience and my credentials to be able to say, this is what you should do. These are the reasons why. But here's additional information. Here are the tools. Please make an informed decision based upon this. Please get a secondary opinion from this tax advisor who can look at this and be able to say with a clear mind, this is exactly what I think I should do based on all of this. Making an informed decision is the hardest thing you can do when you're doing, and there's this many layers of nuance and kind of factors and variables. I think I just really try and clear the runway so they know where to go to take off to where they want to be.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, obviously that's extremely helpful because I think, as you said, like people, when they're landing in Singapore, they're landing in a new country, these are difficult areas to navigate on your own. So it's just another added benefit, you know, promoting your services through the chamber, as well as having all of these other connections, you know, how to set up your business or those other different companies. So I think it's extremely beneficial. I wish more people would have known about it. So hopefully those who are looking at coming to Singapore will reach out to you beforehand so that they're not completely in the dark, right?
Well, I mean,
and
I would just say like a kudos to the chamber through the webinars that we do and our growing YouTube channel. I do get inquiries from people living all over the world, and I do get people messaging me before they leave South Africa and say, what should I do? How, like, what are the steps? What can I do to prepare? And I have kind of how-to guides and I have little documents. I just go, hey, look at this. This can help you. Go talk to your HR director, go talk to your current tax advisor, go talk to your financial advisor, ask them these questions. These are the things that you want to know. And they will help you by the time you leave South Africa. So it's kind of like everyone talks about repatriation, going back to your home country, but no one talks about what steps you should take during expatriation, leaving your country. But again, kudos to the chamber, because through the work we've done and the platform that we've built, people, some, not many, but some have found me before they've left the country and I was able to help them.
Oh, that's amazing. So hopefully we can do that for some more South Africans looking at moving abroad and those that are in Singapore and on a global scale. So Mike, we'll just close off with one more question. Looking ahead, what are the sort of key areas of growth and trends in wealth management that you believe will shape the industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
So it's a changing world. I think everyone in every business is thinking about artificial intelligence, large language models, data analysis, all these various different factors that can, and how they can impact their businesses. Our industry is no different. But for example, I like to bring it to an easy to understand example. When you want to phone the bank, how difficult is it to get through a hotline to speak to a person who can actually help you? Now add in all the complex things we've just discussed in terms of nuances of being abroad and financial planning. You would still like the human interaction and the touch of someone experienced and professional to help you. However, there is a rising, if we look at a global level, a rising trend in wealth management for robo-advisory, which means you utilize a platform that has a robot advisor who can help you do simple financial planning for budgeting or investing and portfolio management. And there's a lot of really cool and wonderful apps that you're able to play with and invest your money easily in a way that is understandable with a nice user interface. I think that's brilliant, and it's going to empower a lot of people who perhaps do not have the resources to get the advice that they need to progress their journey, or their financial journey. So robo-advisory is something that I think is very, very important, and how that is going to be developed and how it's going to kind of uptick in the future is really going to benefit a lot of people. And I think what will be interesting is the space of kind of personalized face-to-face advice at a high level in difficult, complex things. At what stage does that meet robo-advisory, and how do they meet, and how do we get this level of expertise to the masses in a cash-effective or cost-effective way that will really, really impact and benefit people? If people had the benefit of working with a professional for estate planning, tax planning, investment planning, or at the touch of their kind of finger on the mobile app that's very intuitive and is educational and cost effective, I think that would be massively beneficial. And there are a lot of businesses working on this at the moment. So in the next 5 years, I think what we will be seeing is the evolution of robo-advisory meeting professional advisory, and these businesses actually becoming integrated and offering a much more holistic and professional approach to everyone, not just the affluent or the wealthy people.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's a hot topic, right? It's all the AI that they're bringing into businesses. So that's a great explanation, I feel, especially for the ones that are sort of more hesitant to utilize this technology that's coming in. So I think it gives a nice prelude to what could happen, but how it will be beneficial. Even though people still prefer face-to-face, I think, yeah, the integration would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I do think that people will be drawn to what they know. So older people will be more drawn to face-to-face interactions. Younger people have grown up with their phone and their technology and that interface and communicating online. They might feel more inclined and comfortable to deal with a robot advisory. But meeting in the middle for the benefit of everyone and bringing that level of expertise and professionalism to robo-advisory, it's just a matter of years. And if you don't adapt this technology, you will be left behind, and your competition will be eating your breakfast.
Well, hopefully they'll be eating your breakfast. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate your time today. I think, do you have any last comments, and maybe just share with people how they can get in touch with you? We will share your contact details after this as well, though.
Yeah, sure. So I would just encourage people to be proactive in their financial planning and not to be scared to engage with professionals. At the end of the day, if you want to engage with someone or not is completely up to you. Find someone that you trust and someone that you want to work with and who has the skills and attributes that you think would be valuable to you and your family, and begin that relationship, because I do believe that the advice we give is invaluable to our clients. We give invaluable advice. We're with you for the long run. And if something were to happen to me, there is capable, professional people ready to take my place to look after you. So be proactive with your finances, because if you're not, no one will be. To get in contact with me, obviously I'm based here in Singapore, but we do have locations across Dubai, Hong Kong, and Singapore, so able to work with people in those jurisdictions. Please look for me on LinkedIn. It's just Michael Booth, like a telephone booth.